I welcome you all to another episode of Thoughts on Education. And on this very special day, I feel very honored to introduce Dr. Sandeep Srivatsava. Sir, I welcome you, sir.
Thank you
And
so much.
sir, can I request you to please give a short introduction about yourself to our audience, sir?
Well, a very good afternoon, rather good evening to you, each one of you. I am Dr. Sandeep Srivastava. I am currently Chief Executive Officer of the Teaching Hospitals at Datta Megi Institute of Medical Sciences, which is a deemed university. I am also Director Professor of the Orthopedics and have been Dean for around 8 years, way back in 2011 till 2017. That's the short introduction of myself, and I hope that today's we both will be gaining something out of each other's experience.
Sure, sir. That was great, and thank you, sir. And sir, you have held a key position at an educational institute throughout your professional career. So, what, according to you, are the key factors which always keeps you connected with this educational sector, sir?
Well, yes, Harshita, I started my career way back in 1994 when I postgraduated from orthopedics. And since then, I have been working as a clinician, orthopedic surgeon, a medical educationist, including to the post, rising to the post of dean, a hospital administrator, a researcher, health researcher, and now I am peeping into the finances and marketing also. I have done my MS in orthopedics and PhD in health education and pursuing my MBA now. But at the core of my heart, I remain an academic surgeon. And I take a lot of pride when I state that. The key factor which has kept me in the field of education is probably the just to share knowledge with youngsters and make them understand where we stand and have reached today so that you can take it forward for better future tomorrow. The deep connect with the education is just because of my interest in learning.
Yes, sir. So, being a dignitary of DMIMS, what is your philosophy of leadership and how would you describe your leadership style, sir?
But I would render my leadership based on all-inclusive philosophy. We need to keep our surroundings well connected with similar vision and missions. That's very important. We all think alike. Disruptive solutions coming from any end, which make the problem go, are most welcome. Respect to cultural diversifications are essential ingredients to this leadership. I would describe my leadership style to be action-oriented, modest in talking but robust in actions. To the extent that when I was dean, I pursued my PhD just to have a feel of how the education environment is. And now when I am doing my job as a CEO, I am pursuing MBA for the same reasons that I should know what learner is like expecting and what is going around with the learner side. I strongly feel that a smile and a silence are the best solvents to any problem.
True words, sir. So, when we see the educational system in India and compared to other foreign countries, it is structured entirely different in a different way. So, in your experience, what can an inbound student gain from studying in your institute, sir?
As you have rightly pointed out, yes, there is a difference in learning environments which are over here in India and they are in abroad. Particularly, the key difference is that the learners abroad in the developed world, like European American institutes, who have been raised to those cadre of learning environments, they develop a typical creative thinking and analytical mindsets. In India, the learners are made to go through strict disciplines in schools and a very strong focus on performances. So it is all performance-oriented learning in India most of the times. That is the key difference. At DIMS, we have built an environment which is sort of a mix of both fostering creativity and having a democratic learner centricity but with a discipline. There is a strong support which enhances the fast learners' capacities and handhold the potential of slow learners. So we cater to both the learners as per their reach to achieve. Inbound students can gain a lot from this enriched environments, which has been built very meticulously over the time. The institute itself is like now 3 decades old, including provisions have been built so that inbound students can get sort of immersion experiences through student exchange program, not only in India with other big institutes, but also with the abroad universities such as John Hopkins or Sydney University, etc. So inbound students will tend to gain a lot of things, best of both the worlds.
Yes, sir. So, how does the curriculum of DMI MS ensures the best practice in the industry?
The DIMS-DU is basically health education oriented university. We offer most of our courses into health education, though very recently we are also into the allied sciences and offering some basic courses like in the arts, etc. Being in professional health education, the curriculums are basically guided by the respective statutory councils, such as Medical Council of India, or to say now NMC or DCI, etc. But then we keep ourselves abreast of latest inclusions by regularly updating them and focus on competency gains. The curriculum which students undergo across universities are competency based. Yeah? The health education, typically progresses from basic sciences when you start in anatomy, physiology, biochemistry, and goes to clinical sciences such as medicine, surgery, and other subjects. Exposing the learners directly to the patient from basic sciences to clinical sciences is always a risky thing. Particularly now you see there is a COVID and pandemic. So there is a lot of risk when you expose the student directly to the patients. Not only this, learner they have got their own inhibitions to interact with the patients. Now DIMS, DU have made special learning environments, which is including a school of virtual learning. And this fills up this gap. So it is the School of Virtual Learning is one of the best in the country with simulations and communication skill lab. There they get oriented to basic life support, diagnostics, critical care, behavioral skills, attitudinal skills. So all those gaps which are needed before you interact with the clinical sciences are filled up. And once the student reaches to the patient, he is very confident, he can perform. There are also virtual ICUs, wards, labor rooms, OTs. So you get exposure almost into a virtual hospital. Not only this, the curriculums are empowered with strong provisions for self-directed learnings. It's important. Now you have to be lifelong learners. The knowledge changes. The day you step out of the college, something new comes up. So you have to include in your curriculum self-directed learnings where learners are promoted to learn by themselves. Another milestone inclusion in DIMS curriculum is of student researches. As I have already told you, that creativity has to be built into inside the mind, with the insight into the minds. All the undergraduate learners which we have in our campus are doing some meaningful researches. They are engaged. University from their side respect this involvement and awards them with scholarships and weightages in assessment if they do extra researches. Last but not the least, another important aspect of health is community exposure. Being located in a slightly different socio-economic environment. We are located in that central of India amongst sort of a rural backgrounds, and there is a lot of rural culture which is prevalent around us. Our students, we give them opportunity to get insight into this real problem, into this real life by going into their houses. There is a very good community which allows them to go into their houses, interact with them, not live, but actually spend a day with these families. So in brief, these students over here get trained to think economically while delivering quality healthcare, which is so important. Now we know the quality healthcare is becoming so costly all over the world, and it is important that we should think refutatedly now. So students get to focus on refutative thinking, research ideas. All these incorporations are well built in curriculum, and with the intention that we should be able to provide a leverage to our learners and give them a head start when they go into the cutthroat competitions. And this gives them an easy edge over the competitions later on. The students who are evolving out of these universities are caring, competent, compassionate, and with a lot of creative mindsets. I am sure that's what society is also looking forward to you, isn't it?
Exactly, sir. So moving on to the next question. Sir, when you became a part of DMI-MS, what was your vision for the university, and has it evolved over the time, and how far along in implementing that vision are you in?
Yeah, I had been the Dean of the Medical School from 2011 to 2017, and then onwards I am a CEO of teaching hospitals. As I already told you, I am also Director Professor of Education and now Convener of PG Education in the university. So I get a lot of chance to interact with all types of learners, right from first year, a 17-year-old child, a youngster, to almost 25-year-old PG. When I come across all those things, I think so. I have been lucky enough that the university has given me an all-round opportunity to take up challenges from all corners of all types of learners of health education and care. Now, it's more than 2 decades I have spent in this campus. I've been actively associated with a lot of strategic thinking, expansion, and modernization of the place. During my deanship, I was pivotal in few things which has happened to this institute, and which also coincided when the institute celebrated its silver jubilee in 2015. We have been promoting intensely the e-learning, the quality centricity, quality with learner centricity. I did my whole PhD for how to involve learners for quality improvement in the programs. There is infrastructure modernization, and faculty development. So these are the 4 key areas: e-learning, quality centricity, infrastructure modernization, and faculty development, which have been my crux of working. Later, I also got the opportunity to develop and establish the whole School of Virtual Learning. Now, as a CEO, it is my responsibility to see that clinical asset, which is the hallmark of any medical university, remains rich, variable, and accessible to everyone, to each student. The hospital now supports all UG and PG courses, catering to almost 1,000 to 1,500 students every day, including from medical, nursing, physiotherapy, allied health, dental. Though it's a huge challenge, but as a team, I am sure our team is determined to perform well and deliver to all stakeholders, including all the learners. And that is my key role and responsibility, to see that this happens every time, every moment, every day.
Yes, sir. So, what would you like to people and students to know more about your university, which they might not know?
Harshita, well, I would certainly like to tell them that Datta Meghe Institute of Medical Sciences is a beautiful place of learning. Good happenings are endorsed by our credentials, such as we are accredited by National Accreditation Assessment Council by Grade A for last three times. We were the youngest university to get Grade A when this university was just 3 years old. We went for accreditation and was awarded Grade A by NAC. By HRD Ministry also, we are in category A. And if you look at the NRI rankings which are released, since last 2 years, we are within top 100 universities, Indian universities. And if you look only at the medical university, we are position 14th in the top health education institutes. The hospital as such has a huge and state-of-art facilities. It performs organ transplantations, brain surgeries, and many other very, very intricate surgeries. It has futuristic divisions like intervention radiology, regenerative medicine, reproductive medicine. Every day we receive around 2,000 patients coming from all corners of this central India to get treated. And they know this is a training institute. So despite they know that there will be students who will be interacting with them, they land up here. And this is why we have an upper hand over the whole place. We are giving learners a huge responsibility to act alongside with the patient and deliver. We have a very renowned dental college, Ayurveda college for that matter, nursing college, physiotherapy college, School of Advanced and Allied Health courses, School of only Allied Health courses. So what happens is, in this environment, a lot of integration flows. A child who has come to do his technical course in OT, as an OT technician, gets a chance to interact with a learner who is learning CVTs or open heart surgeries. And then they are tuned to become a team. And that's a lot of integration, including in researches where a modern medicine child gets an opportunity, student gets an opportunity to do something along with the Ayurvedic child. It's like an integrated interdisciplinary place. Not only this, we are aptly supported in all this endeavor by NMC, where we have been granted a status of regional nodal center for faculty development. So our faculty also gets well trained in medical education technology. And also, we are ITC, that is International Training Center of American Heart Association. Not only just a simple ITC, but we won the Golden Award last year in 2019 for training the highest number of students in ACLS courses. So a lot of things goes over here which is integrated, and I'm sure a lot of people might not be knowing where it is and how it is. For them, just a little bit of geographical location review. We are situated near Nagpur. Now, Nagpur is that central of India. It has got a well-connected airport, including international flights which come to Nagpur. Just 60 kilometers away with beautiful road connections, and also direct connections on rail lines from almost all the places of India. So if you want to reach us, we are 1200 kilometers away from Chennai, same from Mumbai, same from Calcutta, and maybe same from Delhi. That's central of India. And a beautiful campus in serene, unpolluted surrounding. Wardha has a historical importance of two great legends, Mahatma Gandhi and Vinoba Bhave. So the community here is very well oriented to low cost of living, sort of a refugee life, and not a very hush type of things. The campus itself is very good. It is a huge campus of around built in 112 acres with a food court for around 1,000 students, auditorium for 1,500 students, beautiful swimming pool and gyms. Overall, I would say it's a very exciting place for students to be here. We have almost a presence of 3,500 students in the campus. And believe me, they are all happy.
Yes, sir. So, what according to you is the greatest strength of your university, sir?
The greatest place of this place, the greatest strength of university is, I would say, diversity. It respects this diversity and caters to well-being of every stakeholder. So it may be coming from a nearby village, or it may be an NRI coming from Australia or USA. We respect everyone. It's a very huge culture of diversity which is created over here and fostered over here. Even faculties are drawn from all corners of India, and they are amalgamating in most meaningful manner. The top leadership is understanding and approachable. Every student view is taken very, very seriously and respectfully. In nutshell, I would say the greatest strength is we thrive on a well-knit and caring human resources which is present in this university, including learners.
Yes, sir. So, sir, what according to you is the biggest challenge for higher education as well as for your university specifically?
The biggest challenge which I see for higher education in India, particularly considering the pandemic which we have, is developing and imparting an effective online education. See, I'm not only talking of online sessions, some learning sessions, but education as a whole. It is not merely a question of taking an online learning session through some forum. When we say education as a whole, we mean that a newer platform for education where they can also get exposed to psychomotor skills and honest assessments. Because it may not be possible now for some time that we have practically in-campus classes in all the places, right? Now, if I am not wrong, almost 2 decades back, e-learning was predicted to be the biggest opportunity towards building equity in education. And I think so. This is the challenge which we are facing to make it as the biggest turnover leveler for equity in education. But then, in my opinion, the time has arrived for this to make it happen. As far as DIMS is concerned, specifically being a core part of health education, it has to provide effective education in such crises. We'll need to have a long-term focus for fostering an absolute, safe, all-inclusive environment both for learners as well as patients. Now, this relationship between students and patients is sort of symbiotic in nature and cannot be set on any exclusive or elusive platforms for a long time. For example, if I keep on doing online education from home and do not make my students interactive at clinics or hospitals, it will not yield the desired results. That is what the biggest challenge it is, that how we proceed from here to bring them both together sooner and in safe manner. And we are working on this. So now we have open universities, and there are small batches which are going to the clinics. There is a sort of a biological bubble which we are trying to create with a few group of students, and all those things we are trying to do. I'm sure this COVID pandemic, whatever it has taught us will be taken up as a challenge and opportunity to evolve for everywhere.
Yes, sir. So finally, is there any suggestions which you would like to give to the current youths as well as the aspiring students, sir?
For the youths, I would say have an understanding about the fast changing society around you, and its rapid evolutionary needs. See, every day something new thing is coming, and the need is being created, or out of need the things are being created. You are needed to hone relevant skills as per society needs continuously, right? Bookish knowledge, okay, but solving the societal problems most important. It's important for you to acquire a skill now for being emotionally stable, lifelong learner than being a panic-stricken achiever. So you must have seen those persons. They are studying whole night and they get some good grades and they are happy about it. They will not succeed. You have to move a little bit more ahead and try to be emotionally stable and become a lifelong learner. For aspiring students, I would say, particularly we are in health sector, so I would say for them that remember, 21st century belongs to biologics. For survival, we have all learned good health is the priority. Also, there is a global dearth of healthcare workers. All over places, shortage of doctors, nurses, technicians, whatnot. Now all this together, shortage of health workers, good health as a priority, unfolds a huge opportunity that sets up a platform for well-directed careers, right? And DAMS, this need and your dreams to have a successful health careers will get a desired shape and wings. Thank you so much, Harshita, and my best wishes to all the students who are looking forward to make a career in this, and not only in health sector but wherever. It's important now to be a lifelong learner and very important to be emotionally stable, right? So thank you, Harshita, for giving us the opportunity to be with you all and to College Dunia.
Thank you so much, sir. That was a truly informative message, and I'm very sure that our audience as well as students will get benefited from your thoughts. And I once again thank you so much for spending your valuable time with us, sir. Thank you, sir.
Thank you and namaste to all of you.